Ladies, let me tell you something straight up. A lot of women out here are trying so hard to be what they think men want. They're overthinking, overanalyzing, stressing about what to say, how to act, what to wear, when to call, when not to call, and it's all unnecessary. Men are simple creatures, not complicated puzzles. What melts a man mentally, what truly gets him to think about you, to crave you, to feel connected to you, it isn't about grand gestures, expensive gifts, or constant attention. It's about something so basic that a lot of women overlook. It's about making a man feel seen, heard, and respected. When you do that, when you get this right, men will melt mentally, and I'm not talking just for a moment. I'm talking long term, thinking about you all the time type of melt. I want you to imagine this. A man comes home after a long day at work. He's tired. He's been dealing with people all day. He's been stressed out. And all he really wants is to feel like he matters to someone. Now, some women come in and say, "Oh, you're late again. Why didn't you call?" Or "You didn't do this." Or "Why didn't you fix this?" And all of a sudden, he's defensive, stressed, and shutting down. But you, if you get this right, you come in, you notice the little things. You don't have to scream from the rooftops about it, but you show appreciation. You acknowledge him. You look him in the eye and say, "I see you. I know you worked hard today." That's impressive. Just like that, he starts to relax. His shoulders drop. He breathes a little easier. That acknowledgement is like a balm on his mental state. It makes him feel competent. It makes him feel respected. And when a man feels respected, he can't help but think about you. He mentally melts because he's never felt that recognition in the moment, and now he associates it with you. And it's not just about saying the words, it's about feeling them. Men can tell when you're faking it. Men can tell when you're just saying something because you think you should. The truth has a way of coming out, and sincerity is magnetic. When you genuinely appreciate him, genuinely acknowledge what he does, and genuinely validate his effort, you tap into a side of him that most women never get to see. That's when he starts thinking, "Man, she gets me. She really sees me." And that right there is pure mental melting. You're not just making him feel good in the moment. You're planting seeds in his mind that grow over time, seeds that make him value you, respect you, and think about you constantly. Now, here's something most women overlook. Men don't always want solutions. They don't always want advice. Sometimes what they need is for you to listen. When he talks about his day, when he shares his frustrations, when he vents about a problem, don't jump in with a solution. Don't try to fix it. Don't say, "Well, if you just did this, it would be better." No. Sit there, listen, nod, respond with empathy. "I understand. That makes sense. I see why you feel that way." That's it. When a man feels heard, when he feels that you value his thoughts and emotions without judgment, he melts mentally because he can finally relax and be himself around you. He doesn't have to put up walls. He doesn't have to pretend. He doesn't have to prove anything. You're creating a safe mental space, and that is incredibly attractive. Men crave that. They crave someone who will truly hear them, not someone who is always trying to fix them. Let's talk about balance. One of the biggest mistakes women make is giving so much attention that they lose themselves in the process. Men melt mentally when a woman shows warmth, but they are equally drawn to independence. They love a woman who has her own life, her own passions, her own friends, and her own ambitions. When you're independent, confident, and self-sufficient, it creates a magnetic pull. You're not desperate, you're not clinging, you're not overanalyzing his every move. And that freedom makes him think about you constantly. He starts to wonder, what is she doing? What's going on in her life? I want to be part of that. That mental engagement, when he can't stop picturing you, imagining you, thinking about you. That's what makes a man melt. You don't have to be complicated. You just have to maintain your value and your essence while showing genuine care. Here's the part that a lot of people ignore: mystery. Men melt mentally when they feel challenged, when they have to engage to understand a woman. You can't lay all your cards on the table at once. You have to leave some things for him to discover over time. The more he uncovers about you, the more intrigued he becomes, and the more he starts replaying interactions in his head. That mental replaying, that constant wondering, that curiosity, it drives attachment, and attachment drives mental melting. When you combine mystery with warmth, acknowledgement, and attentive listening, you're creating a man's ultimate mental experience. He can't stop thinking about you. Every little thing you do lingers in his mind. Every gesture, every look, every word is replayed like a favorite song. Another thing, confidence is key. Men melt mentally when they realize you value yourself, when you hold yourself with dignity, when you refuse to settle for less than you deserve, when you assert your boundaries without apology. It creates a mental image in his mind. She is someone I need to respect, someone I need to value, someone I need to fight for. Confidence is mental power. It's magnetic. And it doesn't mean arrogance. It doesn't mean ego. It means you know your worth. And when a man sees that, he melts mentally because he's thinking, how can I rise to match her level? That's the kind of mental engagement every man craves and rarely finds. Timing and consistency matter, too. You can't do this once or twice and expect long-term results. Men melt mentally when they consistently experience the combination of attention, validation, respect, mystery, and confidence. They start to anticipate your reactions, your gestures, and your presence. They start to think about you before they even see you. They start to wonder what you're doing, and they begin to internalize your influence in their lives. Mental melting isn't just a moment, it's a process. It's the accumulation of experiences, interactions, and emotions that make a man's mind and heart gravitate toward you naturally. And let me remind you, this isn't about manipulation. This is about connection. This is about understanding human psychology and using it to create meaningful bonds. When a woman does these things, she isn't playing games. She's being intentional. She's showing love and care in a way that resonates deeply with men, a way that bypasses superficial attraction and hits the core of their mental and emotional wiring. That's why men melt mentally when a woman does this. It's not magic. It's human nature responding to attention, respect, understanding, and intrigue. Ladies, remember, it all boils down to awareness. Pay attention to him, notice the details, respect his efforts, listen deeply, maintain your independence, be confident, and leave a little mystery in the mix. That combination is unstoppable. Men will start thinking about you in ways you can't imagine. They will replay your interactions long after you've walked away. They will crave your attention, your presence, and your validation. And it's not about changing who you are. It's about amplifying the qualities that naturally draw men in mentally and emotionally. Do it right, do it consistently, and watch a man melt mentally, not just in the moment, but in a way that makes him think about you, value you, and appreciate you on a deeper level. That's the power you hold when you understand how men's minds work and how to engage with them the way they respond to best. Let me tell you something about men that a lot of women just don't get. Men are not as complicated as we sometimes make them out to be. They don't need fancy gifts, endless attention, or constant validation to feel connected to you. What makes a man melt mentally isn't about the big gestures. It's about the little things, the everyday moments where you make him feel seen, respected, and understood. When you get this right, you'll notice a shift in his behavior, a shift in the way he thinks about you, and most importantly, a shift in the way he values you. And this isn't temporary. This is the kind of mental connection that stays with a man and makes him think about you long after you're gone. Here's the truth: men thrive on respect and acknowledgement. When a man does something, whether it's taking care of a task, accomplishing a goal at work, or simply showing up, he wants to feel that his effort matters. And the beauty of it is, he doesn't need you to scream it from the rooftops or give him a standing ovation. He needs a genuine, heartfelt acknowledgement. Look him in the eyes, smile, and say something as simple as, "I see you. That was impressive." When you validate him in this way, you're not just complimenting him, you're communicating that you recognize his value. And when a man feels valued, he starts replaying that interaction in his mind, thinking about you, appreciating you, and feeling mentally connected to you in a way that is powerful and lasting. Now, a lot of women make the mistake of trying to solve everything for a man, and let me tell you, that is a trap. Men don't always want advice, solutions, or opinions. Sometimes they just need to be heard. When he comes to you talking about his challenges or frustrations, don't interrupt, don't with "you should do this," or "why didn't you do that?" Sit back, listen, and show empathy. Nodding, affirming with words like, "I get it," or "that makes sense," goes a long way. When a man feels truly listened to, his mental defenses come down. He feels safe, understood, and emotionally connected, which melts him mentally. He begins to realize that you're someone he can rely on for emotional stability, not just someone who judges or fixes him. Another thing women often underestimate is the power of independence. Men are drawn to women who have their own lives, who are confident, self-sufficient, and unapologetically themselves. When you maintain your interests, pursue your passions, and nurture your own circle, you're not only creating a sense of personal fulfillment, but you're also making yourself mentally irresistible. A man melts mentally when he sees a woman who doesn't need him to define her happiness. He starts to respect your confidence, admire your strength, and wonder how he can be part of that world without overstepping. This balance of attention and independence creates a magnetic pull that keeps him thinking about you constantly. Mystery is another ingredient that can't be overlooked. Men are naturally curious, and when they don't have all the answers about a woman, they're drawn to her even more. You don't have to share every detail of your life immediately. Let him discover things over time. When he uncovers something new about you, it sparks intrigue, fascination, and mental engagement. He'll replay your conversations in his head, analyze your gestures, and anticipate your reactions. This curiosity keeps his mind focused on you in ways that superficial attraction never can. It's a subtle but extremely effective way to melt a man mentally, because he's actively thinking about you and trying to understand you on a deeper level. Confidence is also a major factor. Men melt mentally when they see a woman who knows her worth and holds herself with dignity. When you assert your boundaries, refuse to settle for less than you deserve, and live your life with purpose, it sends a strong message. It tells him that you respect yourself, and by extension, he must respect you too. Confidence isn't arrogance, it's about self-assurance and knowing who you are. When a man recognizes that in a woman, he becomes mentally captivated because he sees someone who challenges him to rise, someone who isn't easily swayed or manipulated, someone whose value is clear. That mental engagement is irresistible. Timing and consistency play a big role in mental attraction as well. Men don't just melt in a single moment, it's the repeated experience of connection, attention, and respect that builds over time. When you consistently acknowledge his efforts, listen with intention, show warmth while maintaining independence, and keep a hint of mystery, he begins to anticipate your interactions. He starts thinking about you before he even sees you, wondering what you're doing, and replaying your previous encounters. This constant mental engagement strengthens his connection to you and deepens his attachment. The more consistent you are, the more he internalizes your presence in his life. It's also important to remember that this isn't about manipulation or playing games. This is about understanding how men respond emotionally and mentally, and engaging with them in a way that fosters genuine connection. When you do this with authenticity, it creates trust, admiration, and desire. Men melt mentally not because of what you give materially or superficially, but because of the emotional resonance you create. They begin to value your presence, your energy, and the way you make them feel seen and appreciated. That's the kind of influence that keeps a man mentally engaged and emotionally invested. One more thing, small gestures matter more than you think. A smile, a compliment, remembering a detail he mentioned in passing, or showing appreciation for something he did. These small actions accumulate over time. Men notice these little things even if they don't say it out loud, and they begin to associate these positive feelings with you. When a man has a collection of these mental moments with you, he starts thinking about you constantly. He's mentally replaying those interactions, feeling good about himself because you made him feel good. And that mental connection is incredibly powerful. Ladies, understand this: men melt mentally when you create a combination of respect, acknowledgement, attentive listening, independence, mystery, and confidence. This isn't about being perfect or overthinking your every move. It's about being intentional, consistent, and authentic in the way you engage with him. When you understand these principles and apply them naturally, you'll notice a transformation. He'll think about you constantly, value your presence, and mentally invest in the connection you're building. You're not just captivating him physically or superficially. You're engaging him on a mental and emotional level that is far more lasting and meaningful. At the end of the day, it comes down to awareness and intention. Pay attention to him, notice the small details, validate his efforts, listen with empathy, maintain your independence, keep a hint of mystery, and project confidence. When you do these things consistently, men will not only melt mentally, they'll think about you in ways that surprise even themselves. They'll start to replay interactions, imagine scenarios, and anticipate your next move. all because you've mastered the art of connecting with him in a meaningful, intentional way. That is the real power of influence, attraction, and connection. And once a man experiences that mental engagement with a woman, he'll never forget it. Let me tell you something about men that many women completely miss. Men are not as complex as we sometimes make them out to be. They aren't looking for perfection, they aren't looking for constant attention, and they definitely aren't looking for someone to try and control their every move. What melts a man mentally isn't about doing the most extravagant things or trying to act like someone you're not. It's about connection, validation, and understanding how to engage with him in a way that speaks directly to his heart and mind. When a man experiences this with a woman, he starts thinking about her nonstop, mentally replaying every moment, and he becomes captivated without even realizing it himself. Now, one of the biggest mistakes women make is thinking that men want to be told what to do or fixed. That's not the case. Men want acknowledgement. They want to feel that their efforts, big or small, are recognized. When he does something, whether it's a small gesture around the house, accomplishing something at work, or simply being present, acknowledge it. Don't make it a casual passing comment. Be intentional. Look him in the eyes, smile, and say something like, "I see you." That's really impressive. When you do that, you're not just giving a compliment, you're validating him. Men mentally melt when they feel appreciated because it taps into a deep need for respect and recognition. They start replaying that moment in their mind, thinking about you, and associating that mental warmth with your presence. Another key part of making a man melt mentally is learning to truly listen. When he talks about his day, his frustrations, or even his dreams, don't jump in with advice or solutions. Don't interrupt with, "Well, you should do this," or "Why didn't you do that?" Instead, give him your full attention. Nod, make eye contact, respond with empathy. Say, "I understand," or "I see why you feel that way." Men melt mentally when they feel heard. They don't just want to be listened to. They want to feel that you genuinely value their thoughts and emotions. This kind of connection creates a safe mental space where he can be vulnerable, where he can share freely, and where he begins to mentally associate you with emotional stability and understanding. Independence is another thing that women often overlook. Men are drawn to women who have their own lives, their own passions, and their own sense of purpose. When you maintain your independence and show that you don't rely on him for your happiness, you become mentally irresistible. A man melts when he sees a woman who is confident, self-sufficient, and unapologetically herself. He starts thinking about you constantly, wondering what you're doing, who you're with, and how he fits into your life. That curiosity keeps him mentally engaged because he's drawn to not just your presence, but your essence, your energy, and your life outside of him. Mystery plays a huge role as well. Men are naturally curious creatures, and when they can't figure a woman out completely, they're intrigued. You don't have to reveal every detail about yourself right away. Let him discover things over time. When he uncovers something new about you, he becomes mentally invested. He will replay your interactions in his mind, analyze your gestures, and think about how you operate. This sense of discovery keeps him thinking about you constantly, creating mental attachment that goes beyond physical attraction. Mystery, combined with warmth and attentiveness, makes a man melt because it engages him on a deeper, more intellectual and emotional level. Confidence is another essential ingredient. Men are mentally captivated by women who know their worth. When you assert your boundaries, live your life with purpose, and refuse to settle for less than you deserve, it sends a strong message that commands respect. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's knowing your value and living in alignment with it. A man melts mentally when he sees this in a woman because it challenges him to rise, to match her energy, and to engage with her in a meaningful way. Confidence creates mental attraction that lasts far longer than fleeting physical allure. Consistency is key as well. Men melt mentally when they repeatedly experience validation, acknowledgement, attentiveness, independence, mystery, and confidence from a woman. It's not a one-time thing. It's the accumulation of positive interactions that build over time. He starts anticipating your reactions, looking forward to your presence, and replaying your past encounters in his mind. This repeated mental engagement strengthens his attachment and makes him think about you even when you're not around. The more consistent you are in these behaviors, the more he internalizes your value and presence in his life. It's also important to note that this isn't about manipulation. This is about connection. It's about understanding how men respond mentally and emotionally and engaging with them in a way that creates genuine connection. When you do this authentically, it builds trust, admiration, and desire. Men melt mentally not because of material things or superficial attention, but because of the emotional resonance you create. They begin to value your energy, your presence, and the way you make them feel seen and understood. That's the kind of influence that keeps a man mentally captivated and emotionally invested. Small gestures are often underestimated, but they matter more than you think. A smile, a compliment, remembering something he said weeks ago, or showing appreciation for a small effort. These actions stick in a man's mind. Men mentally replay these moments and associate the positive emotions with you. Over time, these small, consistent behaviors create a mental connection that becomes deeply ingrained. They start thinking about you all the time, not because of grand gestures, but because you consistently make them feel good, appreciated, and mentally engaged. The balance between attention and independence cannot be overstated. Men melt mentally when a woman can show warmth, affection, and attentiveness without losing herself in the process. When you give attention but also maintain your own life, you create an irresistible dynamic. He respects your independence, admires your confidence, and becomes mentally engaged because he's curious and invested. He starts to want to be part of your life, but on terms that respect who you are. That mental engagement is powerful and long-lasting. Timing also plays a crucial role. Men are mentally captivated when positive experiences with a woman are consistent over time. 1 or 2 moments of acknowledgement or attention won't have the same effect as repeated, intentional engagement. When you consistently validate, listen, show independence, maintain mystery, and project confidence, you're creating a pattern that his mind starts to rely on. He begins to think about you constantly, anticipate your interactions, and replay previous moments in his head. This repeated mental stimulation creates attachment and keeps him mentally and emotionally invested. Ultimately, men melt mentally when a woman creates a combination of validation, attentiveness, mystery, confidence, independence, and consistency. This isn't about trying to be someone you're not. It's about being intentional and aware of how men respond emotionally and mentally. By understanding these principles and applying them authentically, you create a connection that is powerful, lasting, and deeply engaging. He will think about you constantly, mentally replay interactions, and value your presence more than you realize. You're not manipulating him, you're simply connecting with him in the way he naturally responds to best, and that is incredibly attractive, mentally stimulating, and memorable. I want to tell you something about men that so many women just don't get. A lot of women think that to keep a man interested, they have to be perfect, look a certain way, or constantly chase his attention. But I'm here to tell you that men are much simpler than we make them out to be. What makes a man melt mentally isn't some complicated formula. It's not about how much money you spend, how often you text, or how perfectly you fit into his life. What melts a man mentally is how you make him feel, how you connect with him on a mental and emotional level, and how intentional you are in your actions. When a man experiences this, he will think about you constantly, replay your interactions in his mind, and mentally fall for you in ways you may not even see at first. Here's the truth. Men thrive on acknowledgement and respect. When a man does something, whether it's big or small, he wants to know that it matters. And ladies, this doesn't mean you have to throw him a parade or act over the top. It's the little things that count. Look him in the eye, smile, and say something genuine like, "I see you." That's really impressive. When you acknowledge his effort, he feels respected and mentally appreciated. And when a man feels mentally appreciated, he begins replaying that moment in his mind. He starts thinking about you, valuing your opinion, and associating positive emotions with your presence. That's mental melting, and it happens because you made him feel significant without even trying too hard. Another critical part of making a man melt mentally is learning to listen. Men don't always want advice, solutions, or critiques. Sometimes they just need to be heard. When he talks about his day, his struggles, or even his dreams, don't jump in with, "You should do this," or "Why didn't you do that?" Sit there, give him your full attention, and respond with empathy. Nod, make eye contact, and say things like, "I understand," or "I see why you feel that way." Men mentally melt when they feel genuinely heard because it creates a safe mental space where they can be vulnerable. They feel understood and emotionally connected, and they start associating those feelings of comfort and safety with you. That is powerful, and it keeps them mentally invested. Independence is another factor that can't be overlooked. Men are drawn to women who have their own lives, their own passions, and their own ambitions. When you maintain your independence and show that you don't rely on him for your happiness, it makes you mentally irresistible. A man starts thinking about you constantly, wondering what you're doing, who you're with, and how he fits into your life. That curiosity creates mental engagement because he's not just attracted to your presence. He's drawn to your essence, your energy, and the way you operate in your own world. Independence signals value and strength, and men are wired to notice it. Mystery is also incredibly important. Men love discovery. They love trying to understand a woman, uncovering her layers, and figuring out what makes her tick. You don't have to reveal everything about yourself right away. Let him discover you gradually. Every new thing he learns about you sparks curiosity and mental engagement. He will replay your conversations, analyze your gestures, and anticipate your responses. That mental preoccupation is what makes him melt. Mystery, combined with genuine warmth and attention, keeps a man's mind captivated and constantly focused on you, which builds a strong mental and emotional connection. Confidence is another key ingredient. Men melt mentally when they see a woman who knows her worth and commands respect. When you assert boundaries, pursue your goals, and live confidently, you send a message that is magnetic and powerful. Confidence isn't arrogance, it's self-assurance. When a man sees that, he begins mentally engaging with you on a higher level. He thinks, she's someone I need to respect. She's someone I want to be with because she challenges me to be better. Confidence creates mental attraction that lasts far longer than physical appeal alone. Consistency is crucial. Men melt mentally when they repeatedly experience the combination of acknowledgement, attentiveness, independence, mystery, and confidence. It's the accumulation of experiences that builds over time. When you consistently validate him, listen, maintain your independence, and keep a hint of mystery, he starts anticipating your reactions and interactions. He thinks about you when you're not around, mentally replaying previous encounters. That repeated mental stimulation strengthens attachment and keeps him invested in you emotionally and mentally. Small gestures carry enormous weight. A smile, a compliment, remembering a detail he casually mentioned, or showing appreciation for even a small effort. These things matter. Men notice these details even if they don't say it out loud. They begin associating those positive experiences with you, replaying them in their minds, and mentally attaching to you. Over time, these small, consistent gestures build a mental and emotional bond that goes beyond superficial attraction. He starts thinking about you constantly, mentally analyzing your interactions, and valuing your presence in his life. The balance between attention and independence cannot be overstated. Men melt mentally when a woman gives warmth, attention, and affection without losing herself in the process. When you give him attention while maintaining your own life, pursuing your passions, and asserting your boundaries, he respects you even more. He admires your strength, your independence, and your confidence. That mental engagement is magnetic because he can't help but think about how you live your life and how he wants to be part of it while still respecting your space. Timing matters too. Mental attraction builds over time. One or two moments of acknowledgement or attention won't create the long-term effect. Men melt mentally when these behaviors are consistent. When you consistently validate, listen, show independence, project confidence, and maintain mystery, he begins to anticipate your interactions. He thinks about you before he even sees you, wonders what you're doing, and mentally relives past moments with you. That consistent mental engagement builds a strong bond that lasts, keeping him invested in ways he may not even consciously realize. Authenticity is everything. This isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about understanding how men respond emotionally and mentally and engaging with them in a way that fosters genuine connection. Men melt mentally not because of gifts or superficial gestures, but because of the emotional resonance you create. They begin to value your presence, your energy, and the way you make them feel understood and appreciated. That mental and emotional attachment is deep and lasting, and it is far more meaningful than anything physical. Attention to detail matters as well. Remembering something he mentioned weeks ago, complimenting him sincerely, or acknowledging a small effort. These gestures accumulate and create mental connections. Men mentally replay these moments and associate positive feelings with you. Over time, This mental engagement becomes deeply ingrained. He starts thinking about you constantly, replaying interactions, and imagining future moments. These small but consistent gestures are incredibly powerful in making a man melt mentally. Ultimately, men melt mentally when a woman creates a combination of acknowledgement, attentive listening, independence, mystery, confidence, consistency, and authenticity. It's not about changing who you are, trying to be perfect. It's about being aware, intentional, and genuine in the way you interact with him. When you apply these principles naturally, you create a mental and emotional connection that is powerful, lasting, and deeply engaging. He will think about you constantly, replay your interactions, and value your presence in ways that surprise even him. That is the real power of attraction and mental engagement, and once a man experiences it, he will never forget it.